Tonight, we're witnessing what might be the most significant victory for free speech since the First Amendment itself. A federal judge has just blocked The Onion's attempted purchase of InfoWars, exposing what Roger Stone calls a sham auction designed to silence Alex Jones. But here's what they're not telling you. This wasn't just about buying a media company. It was an orchestrated attempt by Bloomberg-backed interests to eliminate one of the greatest independent voices in media, precisely 40 days before Trump's return to power. The timing, as always with these things, is not a coincidence. And while InfoWars fights to keep the flames of truth burning, millions of Americans are struggling with actual flames, or rather the cost of staying warm this winter. These skyrocketing heating bills are another form of censorship, aren't they? Pricing Americans out of basic comfort. But I've found a solution, this revolutionary portable heater that's become my secret weapon against the energy crisis. It heats any room in minutes using a fraction of traditional heating costs. Take back control at staywarmnow.com with 60% off and free shipping. Don't let them freeze you out, or your voice, or your home. And also, something new we just launched, memberships on this channel. Join. There's a link down there, and you'll get exclusive behind-the-scenes access and connection with me right here on this channel. So join now, and you'll get exclusive perks. Help keep us running. Now, back in November, all this stuff started coming to a head with Alex Jones and his InfoWars empire. And Roger Stone then broke it down pretty well. And we played this clip before, but it really does give some good background. And we've got a clip here from Viva Frei. We've got reaction from the Health Ranger as well. News from even the Associated Press and Alex himself. So let's just take a trip back and just get Roger Stone's backstory.
There was never any honest above board auction in which legitimate bids were weighed or analyzed. And based on the rules that we read, first you had to pre-qualify by demonstrating that you really had the cash to make the transaction if your bid was accepted. As I told you, I put in sweat equity. I have no money, but I do have knowledge and I have friends. And we put together, I think, a very solid bid with good people who understand InfoWars and how it works and understand how the platform could go forward and continue to be the tip of the spear. Then we hear that the people from The Onion come along, they make a bid, but their bid is based on some vague promise of future cash that we may get from Alex Jones when we extract every penny out of him. So they didn't put up an all cash bid, but they seem to have some inside deal with the bankruptcy trustee. So yeah, I said publicly, this stinks. This needs a thorough investigation. Sounds to me, Alex, like you have an honest judge who's not going to let this pass because there are rules, there are laws. I don't know Elon Musk, but I'm certain when I saw that he had filed the notice of appearance, I don't know how he could not object to their efforts to take away your presence on X, what used to be called Twitter. The real Alex Jones, that's you, but they want to take that away from you. They don't want to even let you use your own name. You can't be Alex Jones anymore, or you can't have the Alex Jones show anymore. This has never happened in the history of the United States. This has never happened in the history of any bankruptcy in the history of our country. So this is very clear. You were targeted. It's not even about money. They don't want your money. Not really. They just want to shut you up. They just want to close InfoWars down. What they don't understand is if they are successful in taking InfoWars away from you, they are just going to make you stronger. You're just going to be heard and seen and listened to on another powerful platform.
And I've said that as well. I mean, they could try to take InfoWars, but Alex is Alex, and he'll always have a voice. He'll always be able to speak, and people will always be seeking him out to get the truth. Now, Health Ranger, finally an element of logic enters the judicial system when it comes to InfoWars. Alex was wronged from the very start, and the entire civil case against free speech systems should be vacated. It was fraudulent from the very start and was nothing more than a product of the deep state. A federal judge has blocked The Onion's purchase of InfoWars. Associated Press even reporting Federal judge rejected the sale of the, quote, conspiracy platform InfoWars to the Onion satirical news outlet after Alex Jones claimed that a recent bankruptcy auction was fraught with illegal collusion. Alex Jones, just 18 hours ago, I want to thank everyone who has stood with myself and the InfoWars crew as we weathered the total deep state assault in the last 9 years. I could not have done any of it without you. I salute you, Alexander Emmerich Jones. And this is what he posted, post-millennial. Here's a shortened version. Alex Jones reacts to the court ruling.
Finally, a judge followed the law in the lawfare fiascos and ruled in InfoWars' favor. Now,
well, before Alex continues, I gotta say, this man looks the best he's ever looked. I don't know what he's doing, but he looks great. He looks healthy, he looks fit, and he looks the best he's ever looked. I mean, during that trial, you could tell it was taking a toll on him, but now he looks like fit and ready to fight.
Judge told him 27 days ago, Bloomberg's Everytown, that turned out is the group behind it, the Onions, their front group. He told them they didn't know it, and he said they need to stop saying that. They did not stop. Major cause of action. And I'm not a litigious person, but they're trying to destroy us and destroy free speech. So you know what's going to happen to them. And Michael Bloomberg, Mr. Babyfeet. Yeah, Bloomberg, we know all about you. So I didn't start this fight, but when I say I'm going after the bad guys, I don't mean the front group and these families they use to manipulate. They're just victims of this process. I'm talking about the establishment. So the judge just ruled in our favor. You know, we put in our filings that we believe a crime has been committed, and this should be referred to the Justice Department. There's a new Justice Department coming in. I can tell you that they are looking very strongly at this. It's all, they like open and shut cases of bid rigging, of price fixing, and of collusion. All three of those are felonies. You're talking 10 years in federal prison. Finally.
Wow. 10 years in federal prison. Now, I want to point something else out here. Okay, so before we get to Viva Frey's breakdown on this, which is really phenomenal. Harrison Smith had this to say.
Through. All right, y'all, it's official. InfoWars lives. The judge blocked the sale. It will not be going through. They'll be doing a new auction or something, but it won't be until at least the new year. So once again, we survive at the final hour. Wow. When all hope was lost, victory comes about. It's it's fucking wild. But yeah, we're still here, so we'll keep going. I'll see you tomorrow morning. American Journal, tune in.
Oh, God bless you, Harrison. And then Chase Geyser. This is wild. Global Tetrahedron, that's the company. Remove the claim that they own InfoWars from their bio immediately. Please report. And you could see this is the bio on their X profile, Global Tetrahedron, and they have InfoWars circled. Well, that was posted 21 hours ago. And then what happens? Well, Nathan Sweet posts this. They actually did. This was 8 hours ago. They removed InfoWars ownership from their X bio. What do you know? Right? John Craven says, take two. The families may try again to buy Alex Jones InfoWars after the judge rejects their bid. That's Connecticut News 12 reporting. And here is, okay, so InfoWars Onion update. Follow Ben Collins on Blue Sky. No, I don't think I will. This is the statement from the Onion. We're deeply disappointed in today's decision, but the Onion will continue to seek a resolution that helps the families receive a positive outcome for the horror they've endured. We'll also continue to seek a path towards purchasing InfoWars in the coming weeks. It's part of our larger mission to make a better, funnier internet regardless of the outcome of the case. We appreciate the court repeatedly recognized the Onion acted in good faith, but are disappointed everyone was sent back to the drawing board with no winner and no clear path forward. No clear path forward. And for all those as upset about this as we are, please know we will continue to seek moments of hope. We are undeterred in our mission to make a funnier world. Well, most people didn't even realize that the Onion was still around. Babylon Bee has far surpassed anything the Onion has ever created as far as satire news. Let's listen in now to Viva Frey. He posted this 15 hours ago. He says, big win for InfoWars. It wasn't rocket science, just bankruptcy and obvious chicanery, but I called it.
The backers of the Onion's offer, which happened to be the Connecticut plaintiffs in the lawsuit. I'm not going to go over all of that. If you don't know it, go back and read some articles or check some of my earlier videos. In the context of the bankruptcy, which went from a restructuring to a liquidation, they were having an auction for the assets of InfoWars, and the auction was supposed to be a public auction. There were people who showed a legitimate interest in buying the assets of InfoWars that were not necessarily leftist leaning. There was Roger Stone putting together a consortium to buy the assets. And what was supposed to be a public, transparent auction that had certain rules and regulations for the offer in order to be legitimate, couldn't be conditional, couldn't be based on a formula, had to be a cash offer, had to be public, so that people could know which offer was deemed the winning offer by the trustee. Well, in the context of that offer bid process, it was by way of the trustee suddenly transformed into a non-transparent, non-public auction submitted by envelopes where the deemed winning bid was actually not the highest bid. The highest bid was put out by, say, a conservative-ish entity, FAUC. I forget what it stands for. Doesn't matter for the purposes here, because the deemed winning bid, which was not the most winningest bid, it wasn't the most money bid, was from the Onion, backed by the Connecticut plaintiffs in order to make that offer more money than it was actually money on the table. It was like $1.75 million for the assets. The Connecticut creditors basically said, we will forego what the Onion will have to pay us with the assets of InfoWars in order to make that $1.75 million judgment the equivalent of a $7 million judgment. Okay. Chicanery through and through, done by way of not public offer, and the trustee deemed that lesser offer to be the winning offer. Okay, fine. Alex Jones, InfoWars, started planning for, who's parking behind me? Started planning for potentially having their assets unlawfully usurped by the Onion, who was already taking the rounds, the victory lap on social media. Alex Jones started AJN, I think it was the Alex Jones Network, started broadcasting off the InfoWars platform because they didn't just buy these assets through this deceitful, fraudulent, arguably, allegedly, bidding process. They then cut basically the feed to InfoWars. They basically went in and said, now you get to cut down the InfoWars broadcasting ability because we bought their assets out of bankruptcy through this fraudulent scheme, which we'll get into. Okay, Alex Jones, vocally contesting this, took it back to the trustee. His name is Lopez, not the trustee, the judge, Lopez. The trustee is named Murray, and said, this is fraud, overt fraud. That the winning offer, other than not being the most winningest offer, was also conditional, using formulas not actually based on a cash offer. And that it was fraudulent scheming between the lawyers for the judgment creditors, some of the judgment creditors who were incidentally acting to the detriment of the interest of the other judgment creditors, that being the Texas creditors, although the Connecticut creditors were saying, well, we own the bulk of this claim, so we get to basically, make this offer worth more to you, Texas creditors, than what it's actually worth, than what was actually refused by way of settlement offer in the restructuring. Okay, set that aside. Jones takes it back to Judge Lopez and says, this broke all of the rules. And Judge Lopez initially said, it kind of looks like it broke the rules. In the meantime, Alex Jones came out with an emergency injunction to declare the offer null and void and to disqualify the Onion and all of its backers from any future bids on the assets because of fraud. They were asking for sanctions, etc., which the judge didn't give, but we'll get there in a second. In the meantime, as well, Elon Musk intervenes and says, you can't transfer the InfoWars X accounts because InfoWars doesn't own those to transfer. And in order for it to be transferred, it requires X's approval because that's the rules of the TOS of X. And so Elon Musk intervened and said, no, this transaction can't go through. That is to say, the transfer of the X account and Alex Jones's personal account, because they don't own them. X does. And we would have to approve it, and we're not approving it. Okay. We don't have an answer on that intervention just yet. We don't have an answer on the emergency injunction, but last night, late last night, a big fat W for InfoWars and a big fat L for The Onion, and that dude, Ben Collins, 1_ is his Twitter handle, X handle, I gotta stop dead naming Twitter, X, at 1_ and then I think there's 2 underscores at the end of the 1_. Ben Collins took to Twitter back at the end of November to say, we bought the assets, they're ours, we're gonna whatever. They made a joke out of it because that's what this was supposed to be. Stealing the assets and then running them into the ground and turning them into a parody of itself, you know, something like The Onion, which would mean to desecrate the legacy of InfoWars to turn it into the shithole that is The Onion. The unfunny shithole that is The Onion. Ben Collins, as of November, saying, no, it was legit, we bought it, etc., etc. Eat crow, suck a lemon, Ben Collins, The Onion. The judge said, no, we're annulling this. It doesn't look transparent. I don't know what went on. It wasn't legitimate. That wasn't the winningest offer. Annulled. The Onion, you don't have it. The only problem is the judge doesn't seem to have reprimanded the trustee, who I thoroughly believe engaged in bona fide chicanery, and I'm being polite. You know, a lot of people hate lawyers, and a lot of you might not know this. I practiced for 13 plus years. I had a mild set of experience with bankruptcy law in Canada. It's federal jurisdiction, so even though I was only a Quebec civil attorney, I could also practice in federal laws, which included bankruptcy. You hate lawyers? Work with a trustee. They are slightly more scoundrelous than lawyers. If you think you hate lawyers, and you have good reason to hate lawyers, because as they say, 95% of the lawyers give the other 5% a bad name, work with trustees. They're not exactly the most above board people to work with, and the big acts of the trustee need to be ratified by the court in order to ensure that there's no fraud, because when you're dealing with trustees, they need to represent the interests of various parties in here. And sometimes what happens is the trustee gets co-opted by predominant interests, political interests, financial interests of the big creditors. And so massive acts like this by the trustee need to be approved by the judge in any event. And I predicted from the beginning there was no way the judge was going to approve this act of the trustee, because it reeked of fraud. Wow. The only problem is it doesn't seem that the judge went far enough to reprimand the trustee, Murray, who engaged in this. He says, I think the trustee is acting in good faith and I'm not going to reprimand him. So go back and do the offer again, according to the rules, transparently, etc., etc. I don't know if The Onion and its backers have been disqualified from any future bids, future offers on the assets, but it's been annulled. InfoWars gets the big fat W. We will see who ends up buying these assets out of bankruptcy. But I made the prediction the judge was never going to approve this act from the trustee. I'm also making the bold prediction, however unlikely that it is, that these judgment creditors, these plaintiffs, who basically had a tens of millions of dollars by way of settlement over the course of years, turned down by their lawyers, who are politically motivated partisan intelligence hacks, are going to end up suing their lawyers for having basically screwed them out of millions and millions of dollars of settlement, assuming this does not all get turned over in appeal in the first place. I should say overturned, not turned over. I'm still thinking of my breakfast. So the bottom line, there will be complaints, my humble prediction, by these judgment creditors plaintiffs against their lawyers, potentially against the trustee, who are quite clearly acting against the interests of the people they're supposed to be representing and only carrying out political animus. And I also predict that this entire outrageous monetary award of $1.5 billion is going to get overturned in appeal. The whole process, many of you are asking, is currently under appeal. The only problem is that in Texas, you get to execute on a judgment notwithstanding appeal, and if it's overturned, you get the monies back with interest. But if it's overturned after you've stolen the assets and run InfoWars into the ground, you know, to the victor go the spoils. So that's where it's at. Big fat W for Alex Jones. Keep fighting the good fight. And you know, the judgment creditors might want to think about what they're doing here, might want to look at their lawyers and say, what the hell are you doing here? Look at the trustee and say, what the hell are you doing here? Because above and beyond not representing your interests, this type of behavior is actually going to confirm a lot of the conspiracy theories that people had as relates to the motivation of these plaintiffs in the first place. So with that said, I got to go shoot an episode with the Unusual Suspects. If you like what I do, you know what to do. Like, share, subscribe. Make sure your notifications are turned on. Drop a comment in the comment section. Go to vivabarneslaw.local VivaFryLocals.com. If you want to support the work that I do, you can go to VivaFry and get some merch. But the easiest, freest way, like, share, snip, clip, exercise, most importantly, eat healthy, sunlight, talk to people in real life, and now you know you vlog. Peace out. All right, party.
Oh, wow. Oh, man. What a wild ride we have been on with this. Thank God that InfoWars lives to fight another day. That was rough. InfoWars sale not approved. Not so funny now, is it? So the implications of this victory cannot be overstated. While the mainstream media tries to paint this as a simple bankruptcy proceeding, we do know better. The judge's ruling exposes the coordinated effort to silence alternative voices right before Trump's return to power. The same forces that want InfoWars silence are the ones pushing narratives about misinformation and content moderation. So here's what we need to ask ourselves. If they're willing to go this far to silence Alex Jones, what other media takeovers are they planning before January 20th? Share your thoughts in the comments below and celebrate this victory for free speech with our new Mag Avengers collection, available now at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. It is linked below. These limited edition designs let everyone know where you stand with independent media against their takeover attempt.